So I hope you got a little idea of what we need from you in direction as far as not only just the council aspect of the budget, but any projects, any goals, anything that you want or things you don't want in the budget, that you shoot me or Leanne or any department head an email saying, once you go through this, look at it, understand it, we really want to get some input from you. We need the direction so that the next iteration, which will be on, it's due out by the 19th, but our meeting is on the 18th, so that will be when we go over it, and then it's given to the public on the 19th. I'm hopeful that we can have a solid budget for you then. As I told you, my goal is to have it passed on a meeting on December 9th, so we have 2 more workshops before then. So this is the time to start looking at areas you want to, change or add to, or however you want to, or have questions, especially questions. Shoot me questions all the time so that when we come to the meeting I have answers for you. That'd be great. And department heads will also be there to answer. They've given me a lot of support in putting this together. This is not just a one-person, like you said, Richard show, it's not. It's everybody who works here is put into this. Department heads and the staff that supports them. So I hope, I know it's, like I said, it's a lot to take in. It's not the most exciting reading, but it gives us some ideas. It's actually helped me quite a bit to understand more than I did about the city as well. So do you have any questions for tonight? Yes, Clint.
The only thing that I've got is that it came up again at the political meeting we had over there, is a large percentage of the general fund going to police, like 59%, I think you said up there. But that's a distorted figure to a little bit, is because in that is all the court enforcement, court transportation, and a lot of things that are, and that's a good chunk, a fair chunk of money that is really not, it's police, but it's not really on the street expense. And the same thing that your emergency management monies, whatever, that's in there also, which is not boots on the ground expense really as far as police. So when they're looking at 59%, that 59% law enforcement is not law enforcement on the street.
A lot of it's, some of it's dispatch, right? And what we're going to do is at the next meeting, we'll break that down for you so we can look at that. If that's something you want to do, I can definitely do that.
I have no problem with it.
Right. I know some people do.
The problem that I have with it is that the public doesn't realize this. And then I get hit, because I got hit again right after the meeting over there the next day. Jesus Christ, I thought you guys were cutting back on the police. How come it was, here we are again? I said, you don't understand, it's been this way. I go over this and over this and over it. Is that that's not all total on the street law enforcement. And so I'd like to see some way that we could maybe educate the public a little bit as to what percentage is really on the street enforcement. In other words, Stephanie's salaries, evidence tech, all the stuff that is related directly to that building over there.
Right. We can do that, and as you know, notice when I showed the payroll, that was the last one I showed, payroll was 44% police, so that gives you a difference between the 59 and the 44, and we'll break that down for you as best we can and have John speak to that, because I think it's very warranted.
Just some way to kind of take the heat off us a little bit of how much we're spending on law enforcement.
Personal housing,
right, those are included.
Transportation costs, and all kinds of things are in the public safety.
Right. And I can easily make a report that breaks that down. It's actually, if you look through the budget and you look in the criminal justice line along with the general fund, and it does get a little convoluted because the auditors have changed how they wanted us to account for it. And as you know, there's a lot of changes in 2012 to 13. When the auditors come out, I have a lot of questions for them because I here, and I want to understand the reasoning behind moving, some of the expenditures, you know, like, for the calling, you know, that's been moved from the general fund to the criminal justice fund, and that could be as high as $200,000. So, things like that. It's still part of the overall expense, but to understand how things are collapsed, and to also present it to you in a report so that you can see the breakdown. If you have a, you know, constituent, a citizen that comes up to you and asks you why we spend this much, and you can talk to them about it and show them. And always feel free to have them come and talk to us at City Hall about it too.
At this point right now, I don't think that anybody in the past, I've been able to get anybody to kind of break an estimated figure out. So when John Doe called in, they could actually give them, the only thing they do is give them a broad explanation.
Right,
but
right.
That, sometimes that isn't good enough for the guy
Sure.
that just got thrown in jail because he jaywalked, you know.
Josh? Building a bit on what Clint said, I would, for the public who are interested in the budget, if you've looked through our budgets in past years, and if you look at this year's budget actually has words in it as well as text. That's been a real transparency issue with our budget in the past. We've adopted all these funds, but with no explanation of what goes where. And this has a much greater level of detail in describing what the budget is, rather than just laying out the line items and making you put it together yourself. So when it does get released to the public, this is, I think, going to be a much easier to understand budget. Still not light reading, but it gives you the context to understand where the money's going in a way that past budgets here have not in any year that I can recall.
Well, thank you, and it's our goal, as staff, and with the mayor leading us, is to be accountable. And this helps the city to be accountable, transparent. The performance measures are ways that we can say, are we really doing the job that's expected of us, and can the council hold us accountable to that when we set them up at the beginning of the year? So that should be every goal, every budget's goal, is to not do more than just numbers. I've seen many small cities just do numbers, and that's nice that the council would accept that, but it really doesn't say much more than, did we balance or did we not balance? Is the general fund overspending? And then nobody knows why. If you look at this budget without, you know, the narrative, you wouldn't know why it's 20 million versus last year's being 9 or 10 or something. You know, it'd be like, where's that? So I hope that that's what we're doing, and that's our goal. Continue doing that, to answer questions like Clint asked about the police, present, you know, numbers for how we're going to replace our equipment. These are the things that should just be part of every budget we do. So I appreciate that you guys, you know, are like that, but it's part of the way I see the job we have been tasked with. So, thanks. Anything else?
Other questions?
Good. And then next is the capital.
Okay, do I have to talk about that?
Josh will take it.
It's intuitively obvious when you just look at the spreadsheet.
Actually, that's really good, because I have an ongoing email conversation with King County Department of Assessments, and they're great. I mean, the one lady I've spoken with, known for 12, 13 years. Thank God she's still the same one there. She works with you and explains it to you. Unfortunately, she came out with a new email today that made me more confused, so I won't get into that. I'm working with her on understanding how they're going to increase our earnings. I mean, not earnings, but how they're going to increase the property taxes we receive without us having to raise the rates. That's what the beginning of, I started reading it on my iPhone when I was at the doctor today, and I'm like, okay, why is she doing this? She's just making it more challenging for me to help the council understand what ad valorem means. But the good news is we're probably going to see between $30,000 and $39,000 without raising taxes. Those numbers I have as hard as you can get them, with, you know, depending upon people paying late and whatnot. But so I've tried to build them into the budget and just not go any higher than what we receive. Now this year, as you know, this month and next month are the big months, and we received, I just found out today, about $80,000, $90,000 yesterday. Friday, and then about the same. So we've got quite a bit. So I have to understand the flow, because I looked at last year's and it was miscoded, and I had to fix that. with a journal entry, so I'm not sure the prior years. So looking at this year will give me a good base once I get through November as to, is it realistic to expect what, you know, the numbers that the county's showing us. And they should be, they usually are, but you never know. So, the most challenging part of building this budget is not the budget for next year, it's where we're gonna be at the end of this year. And that's where I'm trying to get a handle of before we go into December. Because basically when we get into December, I tell everybody, I can't spend any more money. Payroll's it, you know, no supplies, because I wanna know, I can project payroll. I can't project anything else past November, and you have to have a budget. So we're gonna try and get good numbers, solid numbers to the general fund and the other funds by the meeting, you know, at the end of November, and then hold everything there at the end of the year. So we have strong numbers going into 2014. That's my goal for, you know, for managing the rest of the year. Oh yeah, and getting the auditors in and out. That would be nice, so. Oh yeah, let's speak to this. Okay, so, you know, we're gonna be bringing the ordinance before the council at the next meeting. Your council usually does 2 readings. I know sometimes you waive a reading, but we're gonna have plenty of time to do this twice. I'll go over it with the finance committee and bring it to you for the first reading next week. And then we'll go over it at workshop if you have any more questions on the 18th, and then the final reading on the 25th. Okay? Sound good? Hopefully I can understand why we're supposed to get more from the email I received today. I don't know, you know, it's like good news and bad news, and I have to explain it, but I'll call her and find out myself first, so.
How many years can we bank, the tax increase?
That's good, I did find out, we don't have to put anything in our ordinance, we're under 10,000, we can bank it off.
But how many years?
There's no limit, because the highest you can go is 2.10, but the thing is, you have to go to vote for that, to the 2.10, but yeah, it's banked. They don't penalize the city our side if we don't. So I did find that out this time, which is good news. Yes, sir.
So in the staff report, in the summary section, are these years right, where it says the rate for 2012 and then proposed for 2013? Is that supposed to be 13, 14?
Oh, let me get my staff report up too. Did it answer for me, Jeff?
I think it's just that it's the date of when we're adopting the rate, not the date when we're collecting the rate.
Yeah, let me find out. Make sure it's, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Do you know the rate that we banked at this point? So going to 210 would go to the voters, so at what level can council pass something and not?
It's 101%, but I don't really know what that rate that comes out to until they put it through their convoluted formula, but I can find out. So, I mean, it's on the spreadsheet, I'm pretty sure, right here. I really think the most we can do without a vote is 1.6766, but I'll double check to make sure on that one.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, you know, obviously the highest you can go is 2.10 right now.
Right, but I think he's asking about how much capacity is banked
Yeah, what's banked is what
that we can do without a vote.
Right. Yeah, and I think that is the 1.67, but I'll find out. It's kind of weird to say, well, you can take that as what you get anyway, or you go to, if you want to go to 101%. But I believe the 101%. Yeah, you're right. I have to find out for sure. Because I did ask her that question. Let me see what I got in the email. I got everything attached right here. Because I don't want to mislead you, but.
Because in the formula, it does have levy rate based on allowable levy of 1.67.
Okay, so, yeah, I asked that question, she said, the 101% levy is on the left-hand side of the worksheet, and the preliminary rate usage, the 101% limit factor amount is 1.64379, and is based on the highest lawful levy since 1986, not the previous year's levy. The previous year's levy just happens to be the Pacific's highest lawful. understand?
So it's 10% or
Yeah.
1% above the highest.
Right, right.
But that's not on the rate, that's on the amount collected.
But she does say, this is not always the case. For example, if the district in any of the year had hit their maximum rate of $2.1 with a higher lawful levy than previous years, the highest lawful levy would be at the 2.10 amount would remain so until the 101%, excuse me, levy becomes more than $2.10 levy amount. Also, the calculation on the right-hand side of the worksheet is only for informational purposes since the IPD limit factor is more than 101% limit. So,
And the 1.64 is the highest we've been since '89. I thought we were higher than that. 86. So I thought we were higher than that before Valley Region Fire Board. We didn't give $1 right away. I'm looking at expenses.
Don't we give that capacity part of way too as well?
Right.
Yeah, we do. So I wonder if this takes into account not having that dollar.
Well, because the 210 dollars, you don't get extra dollars to get fire department.
But they're saying that the 1.64 is the highest it's ever been, but I would say in 2006, before we gave the dollar away, it would have been higher than that. Don't you think?
If we lost that dollar with the DRFA, because they're on tax.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if that, going back to 1986, takes that into account. Like in 2006, if we're looking at the highest allowable and taking $1 off of that, and that's where that factors in.
and the reason it goes
Well,
up.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think the reason, like she said, I asked the question, what happens if we don't raise it? And would the rate stay the same? And she says, no, it goes up because of the valuation has changed. But I know the valuation has gone up and down over the past 5 years. It started, it took a nosedive and went up, and now then it went down, now it's back up again for 2 years in a row.
At least with the VRFA's budget,
Right,
they're predicting it to go up.
right. And I asked her about if we had to bank it, how we bank it, and she says, you're under 10,000 people, you don't have to do anything, it's automatic. It's automatically considered into your future. So it'd be interesting, I'm not proposing, I'm saying it'd be interesting. I know last year you considered raising it at one point and then decided not to. So I don't know, and yeah, I'm not sure how, I have the formulas to figure that out. We could, if you want to know that at the next meeting, I can see what I can find out.
I wouldn't put myself over, it'd just be interesting to see what it was,
Mm-hmm.
what the bank rate is.
Okay.
That's when you don't have anything else to do.
You mean like find when you came in?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I want to find out anyway, this is like something like, that curious thing, you just want to know, how do they come up with these numbers and how, because we need, council needs to make decisions based on the numbers they come up with at King County. And so it's something, that's why I'm asking all these questions, so I have that in writing, so that we make this decision as for, we're going to get this out of it, and the council knows that. Not for maybe not for 2014, but for 15, 16, whatever happens with the economy.
Yeah.
Right?
Gary, just something else?
Just a thought. I see the city of Kirkland is voting on whether or not they'll have a utility tax. I was of the understanding that the state had to approve that tax before we could, ask the voters to vote on it. But a street utility tax would be one way to raise the street fund, before we could repair our streets.
Is it a street utility tax or the transportation benefit district?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
It's a street utility, from what I understand.
I know the various cities have been working on that for a while, but they keep getting pushback. At the state level, they don't want to allow the local jurisdictions to do that. And yet, at the same time, they're reducing funding that's available for street projects.
Streets are utilities, just like water and sewer. They allow transportation and service and goods.
They do. Unfortunately, there's no commodity there that we can measure for the purposes of deciding how we levy that tax. With water, it's based upon how much water you ship to the customer. With wastewater, it's how much wastewater you receive from the customer. And storm drainage is how much impervious surfacing that then generates the storm water. With the street, what's it going to be based on?
Lineal feet.
But I only have one car, my neighbor has 4.
So he uses the street 4 times as much.
Not true.
Well, I didn't know you were his neighbor.
But back to the issue of the property tax money, though, I mean, I mean, sometimes we allow ourselves to do more of the assessment work than we need to.
Right.
At the end of the day, all we've got to do is tell them how much money we want to collect, so long as that collection isn't more than 101%
Correct.
of what we told them we wanted to collect for this year. And it sounds like within $8,000, it doesn't look like we need that. We don't have a demonstrated need for that additional 1% of tax collection, that's property tax.
Right,
I
the
mean,
balance.
maybe even if we start to look at some of the equipment reserve stuff, you know, or if we want to do more, then what is it, still $100,000 shift from the general fund into the street fund?
Actually, we've reduced that. I think it's somewhere in the 20,000, I want to say. But we're actually using the utility fund to transfer the streets because of the work they're doing that's causing the streets to need more, you know, more maintenance. So we have been doing that, but it's something to look at. I know we talked about, and this kind of relates to that, is that the streets, what do you call that one? That's the
Well,
travel?
whenever a utility comes in here and does work, we charge them a right-of-way permit.
Right.
And what we've done is we've charged our own utilities a blanket permit fee to go out and work in the streets, but not a fee each time they do it. That's how we've sort of set up the budget to transfer money from the utility to streets to repair where we go in with our utility and do damage.
I'm thinking about it.
We have lots of time to think over this, another 3 meetings, so, I mean, so when we come back and questions asked, anything to answer, but you're right, as far as, they want to do the work for us, so any questions we have, they're really good at answering, letting us know, because it's, they realize it's a huge part of our budget, and we don't want to be off, we want to understand it so we can get as exact as possible.
So I guess I'm starting to get the question. As I was looking through the proposed budget, one of the things that I noticed was the police department seeking an additional FTE for the traffic enforcement. And there's some interesting information about traffic collisions with and without it. Certainly the equipment reserve gets my attention. The budget that you're putting forward, does that assume those kind of add-ons, or would those be, if we wanted to fund the traffic officer again, or, you know, do some of those other add-ons, is that the situation that we'd be looking at?
It would be added on, it's not.
Okay. So you've got status quo, no real changes. Communication effort. When we're talking about communicating back with the citizens, technology communication.
So, and we have looked at that and included that as part of the budget, upgrading like we talked about.
Okay.
In the chamber and technology, the software
Correct.
that we were talking about, so that, not even having any support out there. We have, I think we're running on 3 different operating systems.
We are, and
And so some files are compatible with other departments. And so trying to get that, so that is on those types of things.
And on a website, upgrading the website has been included. I increased the transfer with, Leanne and I, from the general fund to the equipment replacement fund so that it could take this in 1 year. But this is a 1-year deal, and from then on I will want to see us replacing things as they go, not a third of computers needing to be replaced. So we can do that in 2014, we need to, but we need to be smarter in the future the way we do that. And then as far as upgrading the council chambers, that's something we're looking at. It's in this budget right now. It could come out, we're not sure yet. And same thing with the wireless networks, but then, I think the communicating part is really big. That's why I'm a real strong proponent with the mayor on upgrading our website so that it's user-friendly and people are interested in it. So, but anything you can think of to add to it would be really appreciated, so we can add it to it for the next iteration.
Any more questions?
Thank you, Rich.
So I think the last thing we have is executive session to discuss contract negotiations. And let's start with 15 and we'll come back to it.